Don't let YouTubers like Gill22 scare you into a job that you believe is safer and better without fully knowing all the facts and all the information.
So instead of just fixing that, they will just replace you with another desperate driver. Anyways, the third reason, and probably the most overlooked reason why trucking sucks and you probably shouldn't consider becoming a truck driver or an owner-operator right now, is that you have no control over anything in this industry.
What's good, y'all? Exclusive here with another trucking video. There's a popular YouTuber out there, you know, he goes by the name of Gill22, and he has a lot of great videos on trucking, a lot of useful information on how to start a trucking business, how to book a load, and you know, a lot of knowledge on dispatching. However, a lot of his videos are from the perspective of a dispatcher. The perspective that he's speaking from is biased. Here's why. He's scaring people away from truck driving. It seems like the main goal of Gill22 is to get as many people as he can to just become a dispatcher and to, you know, join his course, you know, join his community and start his course. He has a video in particular that was 4 or 5 months ago. He released a video, and the title of the video is called "This Sucks" or "Trucking Sucks." You can look at it yourself. And he talks about how different reasons why the trucking industry sucks. And yes, the trucking industry has been struggling since COVID, and he is right about some of the points that he has made. However, in the videos that Gill22 has, he also talks about how trucking is a trap. They don't pay. You don't get paid for everything that you do. You work a lot of hours, and you don't get paid for it. You know, he also talks about how trucking is something that is not something that is desirable and something that you want to do. He's wrong. Here's why. Don't let YouTubers like Gill22 scare you into a job that you believe is safer and better without fully knowing all the facts and all the information. Don't just fully go off of what Gill22 is saying. You know, I've been watched a lot of Gill22's videos, and he has a lot of great information. I'm not going to tell you that not listen to what he's saying. I wouldn't listen to everything that he's saying, is basically the point that I'm making here. I'm going to tell you guys the real. I want to tell you guys the truth. So the trucking industry has been struggling with rates and pay since COVID. You know, since COVID happened, trucking industry has been plummeting. You know, everything has been going down. However, there is a way to survive and overcome this problem, and I'm going to show you how. When I first got my CDL, when I was looking for CDL schools to go to, you know, 3 years ago, I was looking at different schools in the area in Chicago, and I found one that was up and coming that hadn't been open for long. They were charging $2,600 at the time because they were such a new school and they haven't been open that long. They were very thorough and they trained me well. However, I had to learn a new skill, and that skill was stick shifts, you know. And yes, it was a challenge, but I'm glad I learned it. Here's why. In order to survive in the trucking industry, you always want to be learning new skills, paying attention to what's going on in the industry, and making good and smart decisions when it comes to the jobs, the equipment, you know, always learning new things. Like, for example, I know how to drive manual trucks. You know, that's one thing early on that I did. But there's more things to learn. There's always something new to learn. You don't want to get complacent. You always want to know the way around a problem, because, you know, you definitely need in this industry problem solving skills as a way to survive. You know, you have to be learning new skills. You might want to also specialize in a certain type of trucking. The answers are not always going to be in front of you. Sometimes you have to research, you have to look things up, you have to, you know, go off of different sources and not just listen to YouTubers like Gill22 that's never done trucking. That's why it's very important, because if you just look at the perspective of a dispatcher, you would think that that is the truth. However, a lot of his information is biased, and he's speaking from a dispatcher's point of view. Not to say that that's wrong, but there's things that as a trucker that I will know and I'll be able to tell you guys and speak on that he necessarily wouldn't be able to speak on. Be careful of who you listen to on YouTube. You know, there's a lot of these YouTubers out here, they have a lot of good information. However, they might have information that is misleading and not completely the whole truth. So you always want to do your own research. Even if you're listening to people talk about different things, you want to basically go to multiple sources and see if the sources that you have, maybe you YouTube, maybe you go on a blog site, maybe you talk to, you know, different truckers in the industry, and see if the information and the knowledge matches up. Because one person might say something that is different from the next man, you know. So always fact check. And then also the pay. There's many ways that you get paid. He says that truck drivers don't really get paid for the work that they do. And with JB Hunt, they pay you in different ways. They pay you for every activity that you do. You know, you get layover pay, you get detention pay. If the pickup when you pick up, if it's not available, then you get paid for that. You get paid for cleaning out the trailers, cleaning out the equipment. You get delay if the load is delayed. If I'm at the rail yard too long, then you get paid for that as well. You get empty move pay. You get waiting, like if you're just waiting around, you get paid for that as well. We get paid for a lot of different activities that we do, a lot of downtime, you know, and then also breakdown pay. They also give breakdown pay. And when I used to work at US Express, they didn't have breakdown pay. When your truck went down, you just waited until your truck was out of the shop. You didn't get breakdown pay. JB Hunt has breakdown pay. So there's a lot of different ways that you get paid for your time and all the activities that you do. Also, you know, there's drivers that have been here longer than me, and the longer that you're here, a company like this, they pay you more. You know, there's a lot of the guys that have been here 5+ years, they're making $400 to $500, they're grossing $400 to $500 a day, you know. So the pay is there. You know, there's still a lot of truck drivers out here. There's other companies like JB Hunt. You know, you just have to know what companies are the ones to work for and what companies to stay away from. But JB Hunt is definitely one of those companies where they make trucking a good experience across the board. And I would definitely recommend JB Hunt to anybody that, you know, is looking for a trucking job. I could just tell them what shift I wanted and the hours that I wanted to work. And they're the first company that I've worked for where I am in control of my hours, like plenty of home time. In most cases, as a JB Hunt driver, you know, they have local and they have intermodal. I'm doing JB Hunt intermodal, and for the most part, with this regional position that I'm doing, I'm home frequently. I'm home daily. In most cases, I'm home daily. You know, there are circumstances where I'm not, and, you know, I'm home the very next day. But it's a lot of home time, and, you know, just taking off in general, they don't give you, they don't make it hard for you if you want to take some time off. Paid time off, that's another thing too. You know, I set my own hours. You always want to be keeping up with what's going on in the industry, and always, you know, always making smart decisions. Peace.